And look at what we just did. We forgot to push record again. You reminded me last week, too, that I wasn't recording. I had such a hard time logging in, like calling in. By the time I got online, I was so flustered, and I didn't have a co-host, which always aggravates me a little. Like, it irritates me a little bit to be the one doing all the talking. So anyway, so just to recap, because we just started recording, Walter is an internet marketing coach. So if you would like to get some of that, make sure you get connected with Walter. Like I said, our Twitter handles are always in the upper left corners, and somewhere along the line, I'm sure we'll both post up some emails and stuff like that where you can contact us if you have anything that you'd like to address with us after the show, or just hit us up on Twitter. We're always open. I always have friendly co-hosts, and I'm fairly friendly. You know, I have my days, but for the most part, I'm pretty responsive, and I'll make sure to get back to you as quick as I can. I just also wanted to say, you know, about last week, because I was so flustered and everything like that, I keep asking people, you know, like, hey, jump in, you know, come on screen, do whatever you want to do. And it occurred to me last week that I had the opportunity to do that with a few people and completely overlooked my little upper left-hand corner here. So if you were one of those people, I just want to say, really sorry. We're still more than open to having you pop in. We got two extra seats here. So if you'd like to come on screen and join us join in on any particular topic as we're going through this hour, just send us a message, let us know, and we will make sure to pop you in as a host and give you a chance to get your opinions or your questions or whatever out there for us to address and discuss. So today we're back a little bit into the strategic planning. I know you're probably all going to get sick of, oh, she's always talking about planning. You know, I got to be honest. When I first started the show, I thought, I love Social Media Examiner. And I love what they do. I love what they talk about. I love their podcasts, all this kind of stuff. But you know what? They're already doing that stuff. If you want to know about social media, like what's new, what's working, what's not working, whose opinion is what, connect with Social Media Examiner, because that is what they're all about, and they will be more than happy to have you there. I wanted to do something different, though. I wanted to actually take people into the background of what marketing really is and give people some help with that, because, you know, there's a lot of information about social media, and there's a lot of information about websites, and, you know, you can get templates, you can do all this other stuff. There's not a lot of information about actually bringing that together and turning it into something that's going to be effective in actually helping you grow your business. And that's what my focus here is. So I'm really sorry if you're getting tired of hearing about the planning, but that's mostly what we do. So, you know, plan. Hi, Chuck. How are you?
Hey, Chuck.
Hi. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I don't know why all these great blabs always occur as I'm in transition, and of course, the headline always grabs people. And the timing and your comment about planning. And then was there a discussion about podcasting? Yes, there was. For about 8 years, I had a podcast, which I put on hiatus, and it was a call-in talk show. So it was globally available. Mm-hmm. And the whole thing was how to grow a business from the beginning. And you'll never guess what the first 2 months focused on. And that was planning and writing down. And implementing those plans and doing your cash flow projections and so on. Exactly. And then, of course, from there, we just evolved into the rest of things. And it was fun because out of the audience, we probably had about 75 good-sized businesses evolve because people shared in a mastermind community on the phone calls. And I think your emphasis on planning, you can't say too much about planning. It's just, I've never met a peer, a business person who did not write it down, not type it down, but write it down.
Write it down.
Now, bear in mind, my peer group is quite old and ancient, so.
Oh, no, you know what? It's really funny. All my kids have iPads. We've all got laptops, all this stuff. there is something about the brain to hand connection that makes
Absolutely.
such a difference in making those things solid. And so somewhere along the line, in probably a few weeks here, we will be actually getting into like where we're recording our plans, how we're benchmarking our plans, where how we're actually keeping on track. Like, how do we know when our goal is coming up? We'll get in a little to the tech side as well with the CRMs, some CRM discussion and that sort of thing. But definitely, I could do an entire show on the importance of getting this on paper, not on the keyboard, but on paper. You're 100% there. Today, what we're going to be talking about is the planning. Go ahead. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I see what you said. Yeah.
I was just going to say, over the last 55 years, I have closets full of these, and they are also tagged, so I can go back to 1987 and pull out the written plans for a business that we established at that time, and how it worked. And I know it sounds foolish with all the modern technology, but my clients and the people that I've worked with follow the same procedure. We walk around with pads of paper, not little handheld
I do
telephones.
too. I have a notebook in every purse. I'm not going to tell you how many that is.
Yeah.
But Walter up there.
You should have many
Walter
purses.
apparently up there knows all about we women in our purses and our shoes and our shopping. So, so yeah, thank you very much for all of that, Chuck. That's you're right on task with that. So today, what we're wanting to get into a little bit is that short-term, long-term, and future planning. What does that mean? What does that look like? Why is it important? And a lot of people I don't think realize just how different each one of those stages of planning really is. The different types of things that you need to record, and again, the benchmarks and that sort of thing. Now, once again, just to give everybody a heads up who's new here, I do not script my blab shows. I invite people to be co-hosts, or co-hosts come to me and say, hey, let's do this, as in Walter's case.
I'm really glad you did, actually.
So I do send out outlines to my co-hosts and to whoever else is involved that I know is going to be involved, but I do not script it. So none of my co-hosts know what I'm going to bring to the table, and I have no idea what they're bringing to the table. They have an outline, but I like to have different perspectives represented. I don't like to direct people. So that being said, I'm going to jump in. I'm going to let you kind of know where my thought pattern was when I started talking about the short-term, long-term, and future planning, what I mean by those three stages. And then I'm going to hand it over to you, Walter, for a little discussion. And anybody who wants to jump in here and there, feel free. So, Chuck, do you want to stay up on the screen, or you good to go?
I'll tell you what, I'm going to have to leave. I've got I walk to everywhere I go, so I've got to be somewhere at 12:15. So I'm going to be walking.
Okay. Well, have a good walk. Be safe. Thank you for joining us today. Okay. So the short-term goal planning. Now, I have short-term goal planning. I don't do it, I think, the way that everybody else does. I go to Staples, and those big, huge sheets of paper that actually are meant to go on easels. Well, I buy those big, huge pads of paper. So I'm just going to reach really quickly here. So this is my planning, my blab planning until May. Ta-da! So I've got 2 of these sheets of paper because I find that it is so much nicer to just kind of sprawl out on the floor, and I've got my colored markers and and everything, and I can just brainstorm and I just think about it. To me, planning into May is still kind of short term. This is kind of the breakdown of what I want to focus on every week. Of course, I've done all of my research that we've talked about up to this point, so I know who my audience is. I know where to reach them. I know what I want to present to them in order to connect with them and to elicit a response from them. So I've based my outline, my blab outline. So I'm just going to talk about that one specific thing right now, based on my research, in knowing and in thinking, hoping that I know what everybody out there that's in my audience is looking for. So short-term planning is really, really different, because it's really not your, I mean, yes, you've got your financial projections, but by this point in time, you already know what you got to spend per month. Because, you know, when we get to the end of this show, I'll kind of wrap it up for you, and hopefully it'll make more sense to you then. But the short-term planning is really your items of what you're going to do. Like, it's the breakdown, the items of what you're going to do to reach your long-term and your future goals. It's the actual meat. That's the way I kind of look at it. It's not like the big picture stuff. It's not the framework. It's the actual individual components. I always liken it to a strand of DNA. So your short-term planning is kind of like your little tiny chunks of DNA with all the components that are going to make that into a solid functioning structure and get the results that you want.
You know, you don't plan to fail, you fail to plan.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And yeah. So I don't know how you do your short-term planning, because I mean, with being a coach, I know for sure you have homework for your clients and they have to break things down. So what does short-term planning look like when you coach people? You know, what kind of things do you expect from them when they bring to you, oh, this is my short-term plan? So.
I mean, really, who sets a short-term plan, especially in business? I mean, really, it's supposed to be a long-term plan. Because you really have to set up, because you're not going to really go anywhere unless you really set up a plan, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to figure out what your goals are, what your company is about, if you're going to have a website, and if you're going to do an email campaign. You know, it's everything combined where you have to plan everything ahead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, yeah, and to me, what I'm talking about when I'm talking short-term plan is you know, like you said, your social media campaigns, right? To me, the short-term planning is what are each of those campaigns going to be focused on? How are they going to look? What's the language? When do you launch them? What's your budget? And that, like, because that's going to be within the next few weeks that you're going to do that, right? So it's the real breakdown, not just I'm going to run social media campaigns to promote my business. It's I'm running this campaign to promote this part of my business. I'm running this campaign to promote, you know, this event, this whatever, and this is how I'm going to do it, when I'm going to do it. This is my expected results. And, you know, so it's not just that overall running social media campaigns to reach my goal. It's the actual breakdown an outline of each one of those campaigns and what that looks like and what you hope to get from from each of those campaigns. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
So
yeah.
That's my perspective when I'm talking about short-term planning. So yeah, and I wasn't sure as a coach if that would be, because I know there's a lot of big picture stuff, but I like to take things like, and this is just me personally, people, because Walter is a coach. I'm just here sharing my experiences with you and how we go through our processes to achieve the goals for our company and for our clients. I even tell my kids, you know what, there's 1,000,001 ways to reach the same result. So it's not that anybody here is going to be necessarily right or wrong. It's just, like I said, those different perspectives. And I mean, if Walter's coaching people, he's obviously getting results or people wouldn't keep hiring him. So,
oh, yeah. I mean, you know, the one way you're going to get people to listen to you and follow you is you have to be consistent. Mm-hmm. You have to be consistent with everything you do, especially in, you know, network marketing.
Yeah, and so that's why I kind of break those things down, because exactly, like, I need to know, like, in my mind, from my perspective, I need to know how those are going to look and how they're going to blend with the brand, how the language is going to elicit the response that we want from the audience, and again, still keeping consistent with the brand and that. So it's really the nitpicky, like really intricate details of that is really what I'm calling the short-term planning. That's that immediate, exactly what does this look like? How do we make that, because nothing ever goes out after the first writing, right? I mean, even a social media campaign, you put that on paper first, and then you put it into the computer, and the language changes, things tweak because you need it to be exactly. There can't be any deviation from the brand. Right. It's got to have that consistency. So that's what I'm talking about in short-term planning. So obviously, I think that's about all I can say about that from my perspective. I don't know if if you would have anything else to add to that.
No, not really.
No. Okay, so what you were talking about with the, we need to run the social media campaigns, we need to have a website, we need to do all that other kind of stuff. That's what I call the long-term planning. So
yeah. Well, it is. I mean, like you can do it on a website or a landing page. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, landing pages can be very effective. Yeah, if they're done the right way, for sure. For the right businesses, anyway, the right types of companies. So
as long as there's something there for for somebody to go to, and read your blogs and find out who you are and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, and that's just it. And I it's kind of redundant. I know there's a lot of different places you can go to. There's places that actually say, oh, we're a landing page company, blah blah blah. But you know what? As far as I'm concerned, and correct me if you think I'm wrong, but I can't stress enough that if you want something that's easy to use, that's going to get people to your blog really easily, and it's going to give you a solid looking landing page, and it doesn't have to cost you any money actually, aside from maybe the securing of the domain. I mean, you can't beat WordPress. I like WordPress. I build almost all of my websites on WordPress. I mean, the blog is built right in. It's already branded to whatever theme you've chosen for your landing page or your website. So that's kind of where I go for that kind of stuff. It's a little off topic, but I just wanted to let people know. It does have its hangups, and I know you're going to hear people say some bad things about WordPress and that. But honestly, to me, from my experience, the platform itself has yet to be matched by, and even these templated sites like Wix and all of those. Don't even get me started. So in our long-term planning, that's where we're expanding our viewpoint, right? So we know we need to have, and I mean, when I'm talking branding, especially in the context of small business to even some medium-sized businesses, I'm not talking Coca-Cola branding, because none of us have that kind of money. I'm talking about a message, that's being portrayed or presented visually, so aesthetically, as well as through other cues that creates a consistency, so that when people see something that resembles or hear something that resembles, they hopefully think of you first. I have a lot of people that come to me going, oh yes, we need to brand. And I think a lot of people have the idea that when they brand, they're going to be like Red Bull, or they're going to be like, I don't know, name any of those big companies. And people don't understand, like, those people have paid like thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars just for the website.
Oh, I know they have.
Yeah. And I don't think a lot of people recognize that. So if when I'm talking branding, I'm talking about creating a consistent message, because that's the best place to start. When you've got the hundreds of thousands of dollars, you can build from that message and you can do that whole persona, but we need to keep things realistic too.
You see branding as a different thing than I do.
Okay.
I see branding as in branding yourself. You have to brand yourself first. Then you can brand your product.
Well, yeah, and that's true. Like, I do work with authors and I work with speakers and that sort of thing. And in that case, the people become the product, right? And so my experience has been, yes, we brand the people because they become the face. They're on everything. When we're talking about big box, well, not even big box, but, just corporations, big companies where they've got a huge team, and the CEO doesn't necessarily want everybody to know he's the CEO because he's going to get hit up like crazy when people could put a face to the persona, the persona. Then that's when we get into corporate branding. So that's not necessarily so much about branding the people, but putting the product first. So there's kind of, in the way that I work, there's kind of a double side to that. There are instances definitely where we can brand the person, and they become that product, they become the face of that product, but then there's other industries and professions and types of business where the business has to go before the person. So, but either way, whether you're a person or whether you're a corporation that's trying to develop a persona, it's all about message. It all comes down to, are you presenting a consistent message that people will recognize and relate to?
Yeah. Coca-Cola, they ran their product. Mm-hmm. But then when you look at Oprah, I don't know if you've seen her commercial where she talks about losing weight.
Yeah, the Weight Watchers stuff. Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah. She's branding herself.
Yeah.
She's branding that product herself.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Yeah.
So she's using herself as a brand.
Yes. And she does that. She did that with Starbucks too in her chai tea. And a few other things. Yeah, and it's very, very possible to do that with Oprah because Oprah is her own brand. I mean, she's got her own TV channel. She's got her, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, no, you're 100% correct. There is a lot of instances where we will brand the person. But like I said, either way, like our long-term goals in that is, okay, we need a website. We need social media platform. We need print promotional materials. Because again, sorry to let everybody know this, but honestly, yes, we are in a digital age, but you cannot ignore traditional marketing. You just can't do it. There are still avenues for print. There are still places and businesses that benefit from doing ads that, even on radio, I know a couple of businesses myself, I don't generally promote radio and TV, but I know companies that have gone on there and it has worked for them. So you can't ignore traditional marketing. So you need your website, you need your promotional materials, you need to know your ads, you need to know your financials. You have to know, you have to have those goals. Well, I'm going to be bringing in this much money. I'm going to allocate this much money to my marketing plan, which means I can do this many social media campaigns, or I can run, this ad on the radio or the TV or whatever like that. So that's your long-term stuff. And again, I cannot stress enough that this is after we've all done our research and we know the who, what, where, when, and why of our marketing plan. Okay, so we're taking that information and we're making our short-term, long-term, and our future plans. So is it okay to jump into future, or do you have anything else to say about the long-term planning?
Well, yeah, no, the future of planning. I mean, it's pretty much all what you've already said, right? Like you have to. It's all about in the timing for planning.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And for me, when I'm talking future planning, what I'm talking about is the next 3 to 5 years and what you're going to do to keep on top of what's changing and making sure it's going to work for you.
Right.
So yes, we're going to set our goals. We want to increase our revenue by X number this year. We want to have X number more new clients this year. We're still creating, and that's what I call our benchmarks, right? Whether hopefully we surpass them because we're planning honestly, if we have a realistic plan, if we've actually taken all of our factors into consideration and we have created a realistic plan, we should actually be able to surpass our goals. because we're going to set our goals where they're achievable. You know, we want to make everybody wants big plans, but you still got to make them realistic and achievable. And if you do that, there's a really strong chance that you're actually going to surpass that by the end of the year, which just makes you feel all the better, right? Because you did even better. But when I'm,
Chuck Gary Vaynerchuk.
Okay.
He said that 98% of people don't market like the year that you're in.
No, and
I believe that.
No, I have seen it time and time again. The most frustrating thing is with websites. I cannot tell you the number of people that come to, and it's not just me, I obviously know other companies just in my area and globally that do websites. And they all have these stories of people coming to them and, oh, well, I did my own website last, which whatever, you know, we all have a starting place as long as you have some place for people to go get the information. But now we want to make it a more professional website. We want to upgrade, you know, we've got a little bit more income, so we're going to do this. And they sign the contract and they get going and everybody's happy and everybody's working. And all of a sudden you start getting emails. You know, you give them that because the way that I do it, like we get all the content from them. We look over everything. We build the website. They don't get to see it till we get it to a certain stage, because otherwise you're going to be bombarded with emails all the way through. Once they get to a certain stage and we're comfortable that the content is everything is there, we just have to really look at the functionality and make sure it's hitting the mark for what the client was, it was looking for. While also taking into consideration SEO and best practices in building the website. After that first look, I cannot tell you how many times it's people and they want to come back and they want to change pedantic little things. I don't like that word. I don't like this. And they try to change it back into the website they had before. Because they're attached emotionally somehow. They think that is their company, their brand, and they want that look and that same feel. And it is so hard sometimes to explain to people, you know what, we get it. It worked for you then, but if you want it to work even better, we kind of know what we're doing. We've only built 50 of these things, or 100 of these things or whatever, right?
Well, everyone's different, right? I mean, they all have their own style sort of thing.
And I get that. We really try to incorporate that. But what I'm getting at in that comment is it's like, they could have built their first website 5 years ago. And always the comments usually take the turn back toward, well, on our old website, we did this. On our last website, it looked like that. This is how, and it's like, yeah, but you built that 5 years ago. It's not relevant anymore. It's, it's the best, you're looking at best practice, like SEO changes. Everything changes, like your tag words are and how Google ranks things. It's all changed. We want to make sure that you're getting an effective marketing tool, right?
I know it's all about the website, but you can easily change that, to keep it up to date, more current.
Oh, and we do. Yeah. Like in the end, like we're gentle. I mean, like I get it. I get it. I really do. I mean, this isn't the first company that I've owned. Some of the very first company that I owned, it was very much an emotional thing. It was all helping people, and I was really attached to it. And it took me, 3 years to realize I had the world's ugliest logo, and so, so I get it. I really do. I get the emotional attachment that we have to our businesses and that sort of thing. But at the same time, we need to keep it updated if we want to actually engage our audience. Because if we're not keeping up to date and if we're not taking into consideration what today's marketplace is expecting, they'll find somebody else who is providing that for them. Mm-hmm. And we don't want them to go other places. You're our client. We want them to stay with you. That's why we're here. That's what we're doing. But yeah, so much of the conversation will go back to, well, what we did with our website that we built 5 years ago. And so, yeah, at that point in time, you're like, okay, I get it. You loved your website. It worked for you for 5 years. You loved your business. So, but we need to find some middle ground because it's just not connecting with today's audience. So yeah, so Carrie or that person that you referenced is 100% right. People, their brains, our brains just don't catch up to where we're actually at sometimes, and
No.
we have to gently be nudged into that, I think, sometimes.
Oh yeah, we have to keep planning,
Yeah.
You don't stop. You don't stop because you've already planned out your business. You're planning every single day for the next step.
Exactly. And so when I'm talking future plans too, that's the other thing too. Like, what are we doing to make sure that we're keeping up to date with what's going on? Because you know what? We have goals for 3 to 5 years. We want to be at a certain point in 3 to 5 years. We want to be able to live a certain lifestyle. We want to be able to be helping so many people and that sort of thing. But we need to have plans in place because you know what? Something could change tomorrow in the marketing world that is going to completely affect our long-term and future plans. And if we're not staying on top of that, we're going to completely miss it. So like one of the things that I do is, it's really simple. It's the Google Alerts.
Right.
I've plugged in my main categories into Google Alerts, the things that really are very important to my business and to the type of clients that we serve. And every day I get a list in my email, of all the articles or news stories, whatever that came out that day regarding each of those topics. And so I can go through them. And yes, it takes some time, but it's worth it because what if I don't do it, I could miss something that's going to cost not just me, but my clients, which my customers, it could cost us all. If I'm not up to date on that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I don't know. So how do you, with your coaching side, how do you address with your coached clients about planning and the importance, and how do they bring that? How do you help them kind of bring that together and keep on top of things?
You mean like with keeping up with
like keeping up with their planning and keeping up with making sure that they're hitting their goals or at least are on the track to achieving those goals?
Oh, what I do is I suggest that they go to Google Planner, and what they do is it's pretty simple. You just write down on your calendar. If you're going to write a blog today, if you're going to if you're going to be on a blab, or you're going to be talking with a client, you mark that down every single day. You just keep marking it down so that that today you had, like for me, today I have a blab with you, right? And then tomorrow is something else, right? It's just keeping a planner up to date, and keeping it, so that another thing I do really is I never write the same blog twice. So I keep track of the blogs that I write, by title. So that you're never going to do that twice.
Okay.
That's another good way of planning as well.
Yeah, well, keeping a written record of things and that, where you've been and where you're going to, and I mean, and I have that written. Like I've got my blogs, I've got it written down. There are some things that I had wanted to achieve by this point in time that I haven't. But the other thing is too is that it's really important to hit your goals, but it's not important to beat yourself up when you don't, because that just discourages you and brings you down. So, like for instance, I have a brand new website and I'm loving my brand new website. But I've run into a couple of glitches just today, actually, where I had wanted to launch my website on Friday, my new one, and now I'm not sure it's going to happen. I mean, it won't be delayed by very much. It's only going to be delayed by a few days, and it's really a server to server issue, because I'm taking from one server to the next, and it's just proving not to be as simple as it's supposed to be. You'd think I'd never done this before, but I have. It just happens sometimes, technical difficulties, right? and plus when we're finished these blabs, when I actually get an email and it sends me a download for the audio. It extracts the audio and sends me a download for that, and it sends me a video download. Now, unfortunately, that video download only gives me my portion, which is really, really strange. I'm thinking it might be one of those beta glitches. I don't know, because I obviously have more than one person in on these conversations. But the good news is that I can also download it like straight from Blab to YouTube. So I'm getting everything done with YouTube. It's going up on YouTube. I'm editing on YouTube and getting the basic things up there. But the audios, I had full intentions of turning into a podcast, because they're already audio. All I got to do is get somebody to do a voiceover to intro kind of thing, and
Yep.
I can plunk those on a podcast. Well, again, that hasn't happened yet. I'm only expecting a couple of weeks delay on that. So by the end of the month, I should have that podcast up and running. But because of the glitches that I've run into with my website, I'm a little bit focused on that side of things right now. So the podcast is important, but it's unfortunately having to take a back seat.
Well, I know that you can upload to YouTube straight from Blab.
Yes.
But you know what I find? I find it much easier and much faster just to take your MP4 file and then upload it directly on YouTube.
Yeah, well, I've been doing it because the downloads that I've been getting into my email box for some reason is just showing my portion of the video, even though all the audio is there. So I'm thinking, because I don't know if you've been finding this, but because Blab is kind of new and they kind of seem to change things kind of daily, I think there's been little blips along the way, and I think some people are getting some slightly different product than other people are, just because of it being a new day.
So what do you mean? Like, you only see yourself on the screen?
Yeah, I only see myself. Like the last 2 videos that they sent me into my inbox to download only had my face on the screen, but had everybody else's voices as well. So it was really, really weird. So I'm thinking it was just a blip. But either way, they're still all on YouTube. So I've still uploaded them to YouTube. So that's that, and so that was my long-term goal. My long-term goal was to, have this podcast, launch my website by this certain date. And you know what? We're having some difficulties in doing that. But you know what? I will set my new goals and we'll meet them the next time. I would rather have my stuff delayed than my client's stuff. So, so I know, so I've talked a lot about, the little bits and bits in my short-term planning, and then, my kind of more visionary stuff in the long-term planning, and then my keeping up on top of things in my future planning. Now here, and I know some of the things that I said as I was going through maybe didn't make a ton of sense right away, just because it seemed almost like I was talking backwards. Almost like, why are we talking about the little tiny bits first and then this, well, it's because I really am talking backwards. It's not that I'm trying to make it hard to understand. The simple fact of the matter is that you have to start with your future and long-term planning before you can break it down into the little bitty parts that are going to be your short-term planning. Because if you don't know what your future projections are, like financial projections, that if you don't know where you want your client base to be, if you don't know what you want to do, have that website and everything, well, how do you know what you want to do for a social media campaign? How can you break that down into a little tiny bit and say, oh, this is what I want to do, when you've got nothing to connect it to? When you've got nothing to connect it to, you have to do your long-term planning first before you can break it down and know what you want to do today, tomorrow, and the next day. Hey, Mark, how are you doing?
Exactly. Hey, Mark.
What can we do for you? Got something to add here?
Just actually, I just seen Creative Evolution, the name, and I just seen yourself and Walter. I haven't actually, this morning's the first time I've used Blab, to be honest with you. I'm from Ireland
well,
here.
welcome.
Yeah, thanks very much.
Yeah, no, welcome to Blab. I actually find it's the way I explain Blab to people. It's like if Meerkat and Skype had babies. It's amazing. I love Blab.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Like, and thanks Walter for inviting me in. I think it was Walter. Was it? Text me. It was. I'm only getting used to it. So I got a text, I think, from Walter, and or was it yourself?
Yeah.
When I asked to join in, sorry.
Oh, I texted you.
Oh, that was sorry. That was yourself. Yeah.
It was supposed to be. Yeah. Anyway.
I'm setting up a new organization called Create the Great in You. So it's CR8 and then that Great GR8 INU.
Okay.
I'm literally after just 39, but I graduated from DKIT, Dundalk Institute of Technology. I've just recently won the Presidency Award in there, and I had a good idea about setting up a centre of excellence for young men to try and combat suicide, mental health, because it's just rampant at the minute. It's 4.4 to 1 young guys committing suicide to young girls. It's a horrible statistic. So,
where are you located, Mark? Sorry.
I'm in County Louth in Ireland.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's pretty. Communication's gone, everything's gone. So literally, I've worked as a doorman since I'm, a better security guard since I'm like 19 years of age, and I just see in the last few years things have just got really bad with even young guys and young girls. Nobody's even chatting anybody up anymore. Like it's fucked. Like and I've been watching, not that I'm standing there obviously as a doorman. I just find it really strange that everyone's just getting absolutely locked drunk in Ireland. It's a really big problem, I think.
Okay, I have to tell you, I'm from Canada, and we think that you guys do that all the time anyway.
Yeah, you do. My brother's actually living in Vancouver now.
Oh, is he? I love Vancouver. It's fantastic.
And he's actually, he was just home for Christmas there. So he's got a girl from Canada, and he's actually really enjoying it. So he's lost all the Irish drinking habits now, which is great,
Oh, that's
he's starting to
it's too expensive to do that in Vancouver.
Yeah, very much so. He was saying that.
You say that you're trying to start an organization or something. I'm sorry, you were breaking up. So
sorry.
No problem. So you're trying to start an organization or some sort of online support?
Yeah, well, what we're doing is it started off where. We delivered a course there called Men and Masculinity in Modern Ireland, where we basically were going to bring in I put together 17 guys that I think from their lived experience and their coaching and mentoring of younger generation that we could actually put a new plan in place, because what's actually happening out there at the minute is not actually working. There's a huge problem. So I just believe a more proactive approach should be put in place. And I've got the ex-governor from Mountjoy, John Lonergan, Professor Tom Collins, 4 doctors endorsing my work, so it's really going in the right direction. It's we're now building online platforms to deliver mentoring programs, for export to the US. Now that's actually just been done now at the minute, but we're also in the process of designing a new master's program. I don't want to say too much about that till it's done, because it's not. I've pulled all the people together to organise it. So it's gone. Stage 1 has actually just gone through. So we're hoping, and I looked at the 7. There's it's 120 credits. It's pretty impressive. It's criminology and everything.
Cool. So obviously you put a lot of planning into this.
Yeah, it's been a year now, literally doing this. So I'm just at this stage now. I've nearly got my business plan done to secure some funding, and so hopefully now by Friday I'll be a little bit. In a better position. I'll be in. What's your first name?
Yeah. Okay. You know what would be really cool? Why don't if you've got like a website or some place where people go to get some information about this, why don't you pop it into the comments here so that everybody can have a look at it? And guys, go and check it out, because it sounds like he's got a really cool thing going here. Not that it's a cool cause in respect of it shouldn't be happening. But the fact that Mark has seen a need and has decided to do something, to fill that need is amazing. And, aside from what he's saying, with the problems and that he's trying to address, this is the power of what it is to see a need, fill a need, and plan to fill the need.
Thank you.
Obviously a ton of planning has gone into this. You've obviously been writing out your goals, and you know what you want to do. You know who your audience is and what you want to, what change you want to make. I can't imagine, developing courses and everything. I mean, somewhere along the line, down probably in May, and so I'll be talking. Some of my blabs will definitely be about creating product and that. But there's a ton of planning that goes into that. So what are your future plans now, like your long-term planning for this, aside from getting this master's class going and that sort of thing?
It's going to take a year. Basically, what's happening is the graduates of the master's program, I might end up doing that myself, because we're bringing social entrepreneurship into the masters as well, which has never been done on a social care master's. So it's really interesting. There's economics, social care, criminology, psychology, counselling. We're really trying to get behind the psyche of young fellas. For me, I was a young lad. My dad was killed when I was 3 years of age, so I've struggled all my life with, I suppose, who I am, and I think there's a lot of guys out there like that. But I suppose I just said it's time to get real. It's time to start admitting some stuff. And I wasn't the wildest of young lads, but yeah, I was wild enough. You might have liked to meet Mark McCormick when he's in the bad mood when he was 18. But I do think there's an awful lot of guys like that out there.
Yeah. I can.
And I suppose
Oh, sorry, Mark, you're completely breaking up on us again. So I just want to say, kudos to you. That's fantastic. Thank you for doing that and wanting to do something about that. I'm sure you're going to affect a lot of lives for the better. I don't know what it is to live in Ireland. I have no idea what it would be like. I know the stories I heard about it as I was growing up, and some of the fighting and that was going on over there. I know that subsided, but still, there's that history. And so, it's great that you've decided to step up to the plate and be to some of these young men what they don't have in their lives otherwise. Again, we will, we'll give you some play after this. I'll definitely try and get you out onto our social media and try and encourage our followers and stuff to connect with you, and just to see where your planning takes you to, and the things that you get to accomplish. That's fantastic. Thanks for popping in. I'm sorry I got to kind of cut it off a little bit right here, just because I've got 10 minutes left on my show, and Walter and I need to get it wrapped up. So, but thank you very much for coming in and sharing that, and not just sharing the power of what you're doing and filling that need, but also solidifying what we're talking about here today, and the importance of having your goals and planning to meet them. Thank you very much.
Good. Thanks very much for your time.
Okay, have a good one.
You're welcome.
Yep, you too.
Yep, take care.
Sorry, I cut him off a little fast there. I didn't realize he's still talking. He's breaking up so badly.
I know,
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. See what can happen when you plan to meet your goals. So,
exactly.
Yeah, no, that's powerful. That's awesome. So please do go and check him out on Twitter. Create the Great in You. Very, very creative way of spelling it to make it fit all the characters.
I checked out his website. It looks pretty interesting.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah,
I'll have to save it to the bookmark so I can read more of it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, I'll definitely be checking it out when I'm done here. We'll see what we can do to get him out onto some social media stuff. So. You don't have to worry about that, Mark. We're interested in the information and the planning, not how pretty it is. So that's great. So I don't know, do you have anything else to add? We all know how important planning is. Obviously, you plan a little bit differently, and you train to plan a little bit differently than what I've implemented for my own business and from what I do when I'm thinking about my clients. But I think we're all pretty much on the same page. I think we get the fact.
I just use a simple form of planning. I just write it out on a calendar.
Okay.
For each day. Yeah.
See, I have.
I find that works for me anyway. So
yeah, I have a little planning guide. It's kind of like an Excel. It's a little 2-page Excel spreadsheet. I'm fancying it up right now to keep it all branded and everything like that. But when I launch my new website, everybody who signs up for my newsletter is going to get a copy of it. But it's really straightforward. It's pretty much exactly the same thing that you're talking about. You know, just writing down those goals and setting those dates and actually figuring out like where do I want to. Now that I know who my audience is, what social media am I going to focus on, and what am I going to do for this month on that platform, and what am I going to do? And it's pretty easy. I think it's pretty easy to use. I've been using it, and it takes you half an hour, you know, to get it all out once it starts flowing.
Just plan one day at a time. Just take it one day at a time. Just keep planning it that way.
Yeah, but always have to know what your long-term goals are. You have to start with your long-term goals. You can't just say, "Oh, hey, I want to start a blab show." Well, for what purpose? You have to know what that long-term big goal is. So you can't start with the short-term planning. To me, it's always the big picture first, and then you break it down.
You know what I tell new clients? I always say, well, you want to start with the why. Why do you want to do this? Why do you want to plan for this? Why do you want to start a business? I think that's important. You always have to start with the why.
Yes, yeah, for sure. Well, just like Mark that we just had on the screen, you know, like he saw a need. He sees a need, a serious need. We won't all have that kind of deep purpose when it comes to our business, not initially. But, you know, we see something that we're passionate about. We see something, you know, we do our research and we know, hey, there's a market for this. You know, yeah, exactly. You got to have your why first, your why. And then it's who. Who's going to buy this? Who's interested in this? Why are they interested? You know, what is going to create what do I need to do to create that engagement and elicit that buying response? You know, like that's what I'm talking, you know, the who, what, where, when, and what. You have to know that. Then you can break it down and work backwards and figure out all your little pieces and how they fit together and how it'll work.
Exactly.
Yeah. I break at the most awkward moments, don't I? We're just going to watch you type now, Walter.
You know what? I always have a problem talking and typing at the same time.
There you go. So anyway, yeah. So if you don't have anything else to add, I'm going to pull out my big sheet of paper here. Now, today's the 13th, so I guess next week's the 27th, correct?
Right.
So next week, just let me know. I'll let you know in 1 second here what we're going to talk about next week. So I do have two co-hosts next week because I have invited Walter to come back for another week. We're going to give it a try to see how this works, and we might be seeing a little bit more of Walter on the blabbing about marketing after this. But I also on the 27th have another marketer coming in, Brian Smith. He's actually from the area here in Edmonton, and he has a company called Blue Train. And we're actually going to be talking about is next week the 27th? Oh boy. I think I'm ahead. On the 27th, Brian is coming in. We'll be talking about accountability. Big scary word, but we need it so badly. I am one of those bright, shiny objects people. And if I don't have accountability partners, you know, those people that are willing to go, did you do it? Why didn't you? What happened? You know, I don't accomplish anything. So we're going to be talking on the 27th about the importance of having a business coach, mentor, or, you know, some sort of accountability partner. Brian is talking from the perspective of having used a business coach and what it's done for his business. We're still looking for a business coach. All of my big name business coaches are all busy that day. They're all away out of the country, you know, living the life. So I'm still looking for a business coach to come in on that day. And I mean, we've got a social media coach. So then next week, which is not the 27th, next week on Wednesday, we will be talking, so on the 20th, our topic is talking about some of what we touched here today about where we're recording our planning and how we're recording it and how that is helping us to reach our goals. And then, like I said, at the end of the month, we're going to wrap it up with the big topic of who helps us keep on track with making sure that all of our planning and all of our writing down and all of our goal making actually means something to us at the end of the day.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah. And then in February, we're getting into some of the more creative planning. So standing out in the crowd, creating a niche, you know, those kind of topics. And then we're going to move on into products and that sort of thing. I got this all mapped out right into May. We're good to go. Okay. So thanks a lot, Mark, for popping in. And thank you also. I'm trying to remember who the first gentleman was that popped in on us. Oh my goodness.
I believe that was Chuck, wasn't it?
Chuck, yes. Thank you, Chuck, for popping in. And thank you, Walter, for agreeing to co-host.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh no, it's been really good. I think it was a really good day today. And I even remembered to let people come in and join the conversation, and we're recording, so I think we've accomplished it. I think
it went awesome, actually.
Yeah, I think we made it. So anyway, so what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to put my email into the comment box. So if you do have anything else that you would like to add, you know, pops into your brain after you're not on Twitter or whatever like that, or you prefer to have more than 140 characters, shoot me an email and I will be sure to get back to you. And I don't know, at least make sure you get connected with Walter on Twitter. And I'm sure that he would be more than willing to connect with you and answer any questions that you might have regarding what he does as an internet business coach.
Here, I'll just pop my email in here as well.
Oh, and look at Mark. Thank you also, Mark, for all of the amazing hints here. Lots of things for us to check out, but we will for sure, the first thing we'll be doing is checking out your website. Sounds like you got an amazing thing happening there. So, okay, well, if that's it, then I guess we can sign off here and we'll see everybody again next week. Thanks a lot for joining the show and helping it be what it is. You guys are amazing. Talk to you later, guys.